Today, we are diving into the world of cartoons and combining the most popular cartoon characters to ever hit television, all to answer the question, what if cartoons were combined? Starting with a classic duo, SpongeBob SquarePants and Patrick Star. Going ahead and starting with the base of SpongeBob, I think that this is a great image to go ahead and begin with. We should probably try to color match SpongeBob as best as possible to make the blending process way easier. I wouldn't say that's perfect, but that's a really good starting point. I already see the potential problem we're going to be running into with this, and that's going to be the line art. So I'm going to go ahead and find a new image of SpongeBob and see what I can do in that regard. I just found the perfect image of SpongeBob, and this is going to work so much better when it comes to Patrick's line art, so I'm really stoked about this. My immediate reaction is almost wondering what would happen if we put SpongeBob's face on Patrick's. This might be completely cursed. I think we're about to have a good laugh here in a second. So now we got to figure out a way to deal with Patrick. And since Patrick primarily has solid colors, this is going to be light work. Now we're going to go ahead and take SpongeBob's face and put it right on Patrick's. This is very cursed. All right, now on to SpongeBob's pants. Now, this is going to be a really risky maneuver, especially since SpongeBob's pants are designed so specific. And it's going to be really interesting to try to fit like a rectangular object into something that's supposed to be rounded. Now, when you really think about a tie in terms of different shapes, it's really not that complex. So something like that will slide for now. And I'm also noticing that SpongeBob has this white seam that is right aligned with the way that his tie sits. So let's go ahead and try to replicate that to the best of our abilities. Looking back at SpongeBob, I'm almost wondering how we're going to go ahead and make these rectangles. And in all honesty, I think the easiest way we're going to go ahead and do this is just by simply drawing them. Well, it turns out I cannot make a straight rectangle. We're going to go ahead and go to the shape tool instead. Are these supposed to be pockets? Bruh. It looks like they're supposed to be pockets. But you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I can create a pattern with the pen tool instead, which will be easier to create that curvature that we're looking for. Now, I think we've done enough kind of prepping. I think it's time to fine-tune the pants to make it look like it's actually a part of Patrick and not a bunch of scribbles on a piece of paper. My drawing tablet recently broke, so you guys are going to go ahead and suffer with me as I use my mouse to correct these lines. We're going to go ahead and mess with the sizing of these pockets a little bit just so we can go ahead and close off this chapter of SpongeBob's pants on Patrick. For now, let's go ahead and add SpongeBob's shoes. Now, this might be a little bit tricky, but you know, with the help of the warp tool, I think we're going to be perfectly fine. Perfect. After a little bit of adjustments, this could not have turned out better. But now I know what you're thinking. You're missing his iconic socks. I think the correct move here is to expand the sock width up into the shins because it doesn't really look that good when it's outlined. These are definitely looking a little bit better and way more convincible now, so I think we're ready to move on to the next step. After some refining, we are in a really good spot, but it feels like it's missing something. And that thing is the most iconic item we could add to Patrick right now, and that is the Krusty Krab hat. Another thing I just realized I'm missing is the white sleeves, but I don't know if that will look good or not, considering Patrick has like these fins. Okay, surprisingly, that doesn't really look that terrible. Does it look a little goofy? Sure, but I mean, like, there's nothing normal about merging SpongeBob and Patrick together. There just isn't. I think we are finally at a spot where we can go ahead and add shading to this bad boy. Awesome, we've got the shading down. Now I think it is time for my favorite tool ever, the brush tool and color dodge. What the color dodge blending mode is going to allow us to do is paint a bunch of color onto our final artwork and make it glow so it looks really colorful and nice. Now that our SpongeBob x Patrick character is pushing wrap up, what better way than to top it all off by putting him in the bikini bottom? And just like that, we have SpongeBob and Patrick mashed together. Now, I don't exactly know if this is going to give me nightmares or if I'm kind of impressed on how well it worked out. Moving into the next pair that we're going to be merging, we're going to go ahead and hit Gumball with Jake the dog from Adventure Time. Now, I absolutely adore both of these shows, and I think that this is going to be a fantastic combination. So for starters, we're going to go ahead and select everywhere where Gumball has skin, and we are going to go ahead and make him the color of Jake. Honestly, if you ask me, that looks pretty cursed. So now we're going to keep this fairly simple. We're just going to go ahead and get rid of Gumball's face completely, and we're going to start by putting Jake's face on Gumball. I think that we could probably afford to get rid of Gumball's tail, especially since we're adapting to his body. So let's go ahead and grab Jake's tail. Now, what other elements of Jake can we add to Gumball? Well, for starters, we can definitely paint Gumball's feet the solid yellow color, considering Jake has no toes. And another thing that we could also do is add Jake's ear. And now we can go ahead and get rid of the ears that were originally on Gumball's body. I wonder, just out of curiosity, what would happen if we took Gumball's nose and put it where Jake's nose is? And then we can go ahead and change the nose up to, rather than a light blue, we can do a light orange. Now, you know, I do not mind this at all, but I'm seeing there's like a lot of JPEG damage due to quality control, so I'm going to go ahead and try some neuro filters and see if that can help me hone in some quality. I don't think that this piece would be complete without a screenshot of, you know, Gumball's house. So let's go ahead and make sure Jake is right at home. And that was Jake the Dog combined with Gumball. I have to say that this one was super simplistic to tackle, and I love the way it came out. Go ahead and leave a reply down below and let me know what your favorite cartoon character is, because I'm super curious. And for our final duo, we have a classic mashup of Sonic the Hedgehog as Bugs Bunny. This one is going to be so interesting. For starters, let's go ahead and get the obvious out of the way. We need to make Sonic gray, like a rabbit. Now, in order to knock this out of the park, we're going to have to find a way to get rid of Sonic's face. And to do that, let's just go ahead and start with some soft grays. We really want Bugs Bunny's facial features and not really any other part of him. We could even do without the whiskers, which is kind of an interesting take, but we're going to see what that does. And just like that, we have a Bugs Bunny on Sonic. And man, does it look cursed. We're going to go ahead and remove this ear. Let's go ahead and bring that in so it looks like it's more attached to his head. I'm going to go ahead and take the other ear and I'm going to put it behind the head. And we actually got really lucky because Bugs Bunny has white gloves, so we don't even have to touch those. But in terms of the shoes, that's going to be interesting. I could take Bugs Bunny's foot and I could size it up so that it fits at the base of what we're trying to accomplish here. The feet actually fit perfectly in this little wireframe that I was imagining. That looks solid. Looking back at Bugs Bunny, I'm noticing that his entire color palette is just gray and white. So we're gonna have to go ahead and change the colors of Sonic's stomach and all of that to make sure that it fits appropriately. It may not be completely refined, but again, I'm not really looking for perfection here. I'm more so looking for just a generalized outline that we could go off of. Now, something I'm noticing is we have a lot of blending problems going on here in the chest. So we're gonna go ahead and clean that up a lot, and we could maybe even get to the point where we can start reconstructing a little bit of these facial structures, because oh my gosh, this Bugs needs some help. Let's just say that. First off, we're missing the whiskers, so let's just go ahead and add those back, which I'm not really doing a really good job of, so I'm just going to go ahead and take them from the original image and resize them accordingly. Something I'm also noticing is that we have to get rid of the tail and replace it with a bunny tail. And believe it or not, I found this perfect image from the character wiki for Looney Tunes, and I think it's got the perfect back tail that we need. Doing this with a mouse is so hard, by the way. I'm going to go ahead and take a soft brush, that way I can blend the look of the tail. And then I'm also noticing that the tail has a lot of unwanted texture that we really need. So I'm just going to go ahead and take that and put the brush on hard and just go ahead and get rid of all of this. While this is looking really solid, I think we're all going to need to address the elephant in the room, and that is the fact that this has such inconsistent shading. Let's go ahead and dive in and try to make the shading as consistent as possible. Now moving on to the ears. Clearly the ears are just out of place. Can't put my finger on it, but I'm gonna go ahead and mess around with the shading. I think shading is gonna play a big role with how this character ends up looking. Now, the line art on the side of the face is not straight because I'm doing this with a mouse and it's bugging me, so I'm gonna go ahead and get an ellipse tool, and better yet, rather than using the ellipse tool, I think I'm gonna do the pen tool instead, because at the very least, the pen tool will give me a more precise curve to work with. That is looking way more refined already. I think I'm gonna add a little bit of shading on the facial features just to make sure that we have something good going here. And I think that this might be the perfect mashup of Bugs Bunny and Sonic. Scaling our character down and adding a dope Green Hill Zone background is going to complete this. I never thought that Bugs Bunny and Sonic would actually mash so well, but this was definitely one of the more enjoyable ones in this video that we got to tackle. I love the way the ears blend so seamlessly with the head, and man, those feet being perfect size for us was perfect. Combining these cartoon characters with you guys today has taught me a lot, especially since I'm a graphic designer who hasn't really explored the world of illustration all that much. However, I really want to know which one was your favorite. Go ahead and let me know down in the replies, and also let me know if you guys want to see me combine future characters, entities, or objects in the future. More videos like this are going to be coming, so do me a solid and keep your eyes peeled because it is going to be amazing. I'll see you guys in the next video.